What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor Season 39, Island of the Idols, Episode 12. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa. And Rachel and I were talking right before we started podcasting about how this episode made us so heated because we were just like waiting for something awesome to happen, and then something awesome never really happened. So, like, FML, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like the episode baited us. I thought, finally the losers will come together and take control of the game. Something cool will happen, blah, blah, blah. But then, no, nothing. Nothing of the sort happened. So we're going to start with Dean at Tribal Council and then sort of work our way through this episode because Dean.
Dean is just so stupid. Like, every time someone like tries to align with him in the game, he just ends up like stabbing them in the back. And I'm like, excuse me? And it's like, Dean is just such, like, I don't even want to call him a snake because that assumes that he like is actually thinking strategically and he's stabbing people in the back because it's like actually a good move for him. But no. He's just like, I feel like he's blundering through the game and making good moves on accident, and that just frustrates me.
Yeah, so I feel like, okay, you could say this move from Dean was a good move. Like, if something happened back at camp that spooked Dean, to, tell Tommy, tip them off so that he comes out ahead of the drama and he saves his own ass. Yes, great. Blame it on Nora, blame it on someone else. You save yourself and you're in good with Tommy better. But then, like, based off of Karishma's exit interview, seemingly so, the edit that we got, it seemed like everyone was 4 strong going into that tribal. There wasn't a spooking of anyone, and that the plan to vote 4 strong on Tommy was going to work. So then, okay, it could be a smart move at tribal if, like, you are trying to move up in the ranks of the totem pole. But Dean, by telling Tommy this, literally only moves up 1 spot in the totem pole ranking. Like, okay, maybe you're 5th in their alliance instead of 6th, and you move above Nora. So it's like, I don't know. I was like, it seemed like the plan was going to work, and then he literally ruined it where he could have been in a foursome where he potentially has a better chance to win. He would be 2nd out of there over Elaine would probably beat him, but then he would be 2nd and then maybe beat Nora and Karishma. But, like, I don't know. Even if you don't trust Elaine, Karishma, and Nora to do this, why don't you do 1 vote or, like, tip Tommy off and then still try to switch the vote to, like, Dan or someone if you want to keep Tommy around? I feel like I don't see the logic in doing it, like, not following through on the plan when it seemed like it was going to work, and you don't even bring up your ranking in the totem pole by any. Like, you did it for no reason.
And also, I don't understand why you want to keep Tommy around. Because, like, the way everyone's been talking, Tommy is a very legitimate threat to be a winner. Like, he's likable. He has, like, decent strategy with his whole relationship with Lauren. He hasn't, like, really made any huge enemies. So it's like, why are you keeping someone who can very obviously beat you? Like, why?
No, 100%. And it's like, if you want to keep Tommy as an ally, great. Try to switch the foursome loser votes over to Dan or Janet maybe, and then you would still have the numbers 4-3 moving forward. And, like, I don't know. It, like, if you want to keep the male identifying people on the tribe up, don't vote for Dan to go out then vote for Janet to go out, and then you still have 3 men in the game. Tommy is still there as an ally or a shield or whatever the hell Dean wants him there for. But it's like, I feel like there's so many other options for Dean in this tribal than literally blowing up tribal at tribal when you don't even move up in any kind of ranking system. I feel like he's moved down.
Yeah, and now there's like no one on the tribe who trusts him because they've seen that he's made a pattern of making like stupid choices. So it's like, the only person who trusts him more is Tommy, and it's like Tommy
Mhm.
already has his crew. He doesn't need Dean.
No, that's the thing. That's why it doesn't make too much sense because yeah, sure, if you wanted to get in with the popular kids, like we saw him flip at the merge and vote out Kelly, who we thought like, maybe he'd be a little bit indebted to because Kelly just saved his ass last week, and then he still votes them out and goes wherever the numbers are. And so, like we saw this episode, someone said that Dean is a numbers guy. Like maybe he literally just wants to go wherever the majority is. And I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like you're at the bottom of that majority. You're not going to win. Maybe he's thinking like, okay, Tommy, Lauren, Nora, Dan, and Janet. Okay, they might take Nora to the end as a GOAT. They're probably going to vote out Janet because Janet is going to win. Dan, like whatever the hell Dan is doing out there. And then, but still, I don't see Dean, if he goes with the Tommy Lauren group, I don't see that raising his chances of making it to final 3 more so than if he went balls to the wall this episode and just trusted Nora and the other foursome, like to vote out a big player in the game.
Yeah. Dean. And I feel like the thing with playing the numbers game is that it also gets you a reputation as being really wishy-washy. And it's like people don't respect that game. Like he's gonna sit in front of the final tribal council if he gets there and be like, well, I just voted whichever way was easiest at the time because I always voted with the majority, which is like people who walk in the middle of the road get run over, Dean.
But then even like that's not even true because there was stats like he didn't even vote correctly until like some long ass like late into the game tribal council. He has never even voted correctly kind of thing. And it's like, bro, like, okay. I think
he voted correctly in the first tribal council to vote out Ronnie.
Did he?
Yeah.
I guess, okay, yeah. It was the 2 votes. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. You can't trust the foursome banding together. Sure, okay. But I feel like when you're on the bottom and you have nothing to lose, you might as well go all out. Because, like, either way, if you make a move or if you don't make a move, you're still not going to make it to the end. So you might as well try something to switch up the numbers or whatever. But I feel like he did reverse of trying something by solidifying the numbers, by blowing up the game and then trying to get in with Tommy. Like, dude, Tommy has his crew. He's the popular kid. Stop trying to get in with the popular people. And like Dean is just, I feel like delusional about his spot in the game. He thinks he's a challenge comp beast. Well, bro, you were the first one out of this challenge.
Never won individual immunity.
And so I feel like if we look at it that way, where he's sort of delusional about where he stands, like, okay, maybe this move makes sense because he wants to get in more with the popular kids. But I'm like, he just doesn't know where he stands in the game.
Yeah, his situational awareness is not great. So
Dean's Instagram after the episode, it was sort of sad, but also sort of funny. He posted a photo, then like everyone was sort of like attacking him in the comments, which was sort of sad because some of them were really mean, but that's sort of funny too because some of them were actually quite funny.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like Dean doing this sort of solidifies Tommy potentially the win for the game. I think keeping Nora and voting out Karishma makes sense. Like now Nora and Dan are sort of fighting for that 3rd place GOAT spot. And now I feel like once you blasted Nora at Tribal Council, she's going to have to stay loyal. Like we've seen Big Brother with Nicole, like once you sort of get blasted, you're going to be a little bit afraid to make moves and stuff. So I feel like maybe Nora will be super loyal now. But it's like keeping Nora around is not even good either because she's so random. It's hard to predict what she's going to do. Like she's shown now that she cannot stick to a plan kind of thing. And neither can Dean, can't stick to a plan.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, Nora's not just going to, like, roll over and die because she got blasted. Like, if anything, that might make her more crazy, I would think.
Yeah.
I feel like part of why Nora couldn't stick to the plan was because Dean couldn't stick to the plan. So it's kind of like, I feel like if Nora got to do a plan she really, really wanted to do, she would stick to it.
Yeah, like I feel like Nora is more of a wild card too. Even Karishma's a wild card because Karishma's thinking she's trying to play the game. Nora also is like thinking in her weird kind of roundabout way. But Nora can win immunity challenges and Karishma and Dean cannot. So it's sort of risky, I feel like, keeping someone like Nora in the game because she could win her way to the end, or she could win like the final immunity and then she's the one picking who freaking goes or like goes into fire or whatever. But I don't know. I like when Boston Rob at Tribal was like, oh, all of that just to vote Karishma out, I really thought like it would flip on Nora or Dean and one of them would go home because it was just wild and Karishma sat still, like not doing anything kind of thing. I really thought it would flip like in Julia in Edge of Extinction, how then she got blasted at Tribal Council.
Yeah, I think it's like they've been trying to vote out Karishma for so long that I'm not really sure I believe that she would actually get voted out just because it seems like something always happens. But it's like Karishma was the person who got voted, who received the most number of votes in like Survivor history or something. I forget what the statistic was, but like she's received a lot of votes. I think Dean ended up voting Karishma a total of 5 times across the season. And they were only in, I think, 7 or 8 tribal councils together. So it's probably more than that. I can't remember the numbers, but it's like Dean's voted for Karishma a lot. A lot of people have voted for Karishma a lot. So it felt kind of weird to just see her go home.
Yeah, but then I get it, I guess. It's like Karishma is becoming more threatening. Karishma is thinking, trying to do plans. She's not like not doing anything out there. So like, sure. And she's not in your alliance, I guess. Great. You know, Elaine has an idol and is probably going to play it. But I'm like, shoot, all of that. Yeah. Just to vote out Karishma, who has been on the chopping block literally since like week 2 or 3. And then now she finally goes. I was like, God damn it. I really, it was just so weird.
I've never really liked Karishma just because it seemed like she had a lot of feelings, but never really seemed to like be able to hold together anything meaningful. And I feel like a lot of times she was like very self-pitying. So yeah, I didn't like her, but I was sad to see her go like this.
Yeah, she was my winner pick from the beginning. So like we've said throughout the season, we really just wanted to see her make some moves and not just complain. And I feel like she has come full circle with Survivor, which is really cute to see. Her Ponderosa video is so freaking cute. Like everyone was so nice to her. I was like, wow, this is cool to see. She's like blossomed into a butterfly and like even at I don't know, and even like full circle in the fact that at the family visit, like, you know, her husband came out and so we have a closure to that story too. So it's like really interesting.
Yeah, and I think I like that like Christmas story came full circle. Also, I'm happy that she was like happy at Ponderosa. I didn't watch her Ponderosa, but I really enjoyed that at Ponderosa players seem to really be able to like let go of a lot of the animosity of the season. Like it's just nice to note that they're not all actually shit people. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so like Kelly said at Tribal Council, dumb moves. Seems like some of these moves are becoming more random. Maybe a pagonging that is going to happen now because it seems like it's a solidified 5 or 6 versus Elaine and maybe Nora in there. So whoop-de-doo for the next 2 weeks. That's great. Like, I am just bummed with this episode because I want to see like these underdogs come together, realizing, sure, it's hard. Some people don't want to self-identify as a loser underdog kind of thing. It just seemed like it would have been so great. It seemed possible this episode with Elaine finding the idol, the foursome left on the family visit came together, it seemed, and had a good plan to vote someone in the majority out. And then we just can't have nice things because people want to ruin them. I was like, the one good time we had the minority rise up, David versus Goliath. I will just keep rewatching those few tribals when the Goliaths or the Davids were able to come together. Even when literally Davey said he wanted to vote Christian out, and then Davey gave Christian his idol, and they were able to make a big move. Like, why can't we have that? You're on the bottom. You need to make a move. You're either 8th place or you're 3rd place, and at least you get some $1,000. But it's like, I don't know. If you're not playing to win, what's the point?
Yeah, I think a lot of times on like Survivor fan forums or whatever, people are always like, would you rather like get to the final tribal council and not have any chance of winning, or like make a risky move that doesn't pay off but would have gotten you the winner pick? So I feel like that's kind of the thing that players have to balance. Like, do you want to get 3rd place and get the larger like appearance fee or whatever it is, or do you want to like go for broke? So
yeah, and I feel like it should be more go for broke rather than let me just get to final tribal council kind of thing. But I guess I can also see the argument, like, if you don't make it to final tribal council, no matter how crappy your game or argument is at final, like, you won't be able to have your word with the jury. So, like, at least making it, no matter how bad your game is, at least you get that face time with the jury. But it's like, yo, if you purposefully know your game is bad and you're just willing to be a goat or whatever, like, stop.
yeah. Like your strategy shouldn't be I'm so much of a goat that they bring me to the final. So
yeah, play to win, people. So family visit. It just seems like it's a lot of crying. It's like 20 minutes of the screen time. It's cool to see, yeah, who the person picks. It gives people humanity. But whenever Jeff talks to these people, they literally all say the same exact really vague statement. Like, this is the best person ever. I love them so much. They're my rock. And it's like, this is so vague. If you're going to bring these people out, at least give us some kind of story or backstory or something behind them rather than the vague statement. Like, anyone could say that about you. It doesn't have to be your girlfriend, boyfriend, daughter, mom, dad, you know?
yeah. And it's just like watching other people cry makes me uncomfortable. And that's all it is. And just like I feel like they could cut it to be a lot shorter, or they just be like, so and so, your blank is here. So the only things that I enjoyed were when Elaine's girlfriend came out and when Jeff asked Nora's sister if she wanted to come closer so she could like see where Nora was. I was like, my heart. But like the actual like talking to the family part, I'm good. I don't need that.
Yeah, I thought Janet's baby reveal was neat too. That was very interesting. And I thought it was also interesting Janet's husband was saying how Janet is such a strong woman and like literally not knowing what has happened throughout the season that her husband is saying that just on the whim when he sees her. Like, I think that's really a testament to Janet in her real life as well. I like seeing Krishma's husband out there, you know, full story circle right with that. And is that the first lesbian couple on Survivor? So I feel like
I know that there have been other like queer women, but I'm pretty sure no one else has brought
their partner, right?
Yeah, or their partner.
Or they just they didn't get that far.
Yeah. Like, I can't remember anything off the top of my head, so.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and then for the family challenge, they had to be like tied to another castaway, and I feel like that's the worst thing ever because it's like your chance to see your loved one is completely dependent on who you get like paired with. Like, I'm pretty sure Lauren, when she got paired with Karishma, was like, well, that sucks.
Yo, I wrote that in my I wrote that in my notes too. I was like, I don't want to see them tethered together because then you're just going to get shat on if you're like the unathletic person. And then the person's going to blame you for not letting them see their family.
Yeah, it just seems like a guaranteed way to breed like animosity.
Yeah, I would have rather, I don't know. And I think the tethering too, it sort of takes the blame for the people that win on choosing other contestants to come with them on reward because it's like, okay, Tommy and Janet won, like, who did not see that coming kind of thing. And it's like, you can't really blame if Tommy won by himself. You can blame him like, oh, that asshole, why didn't he pick me? But when you have Tommy and Janet, I feel like it sort of takes the blame away. And now you're just like mad at the entire group of four rather than like, oh, this person was the sole person who screwed me over from seeing my loved one. And then Tommy and Janet win. Yeah, they were probably the winner pick of that challenge. They were the most athletic, I feel like, with the pairings. And then they pick Dan and Lauren. And so I feel like this is where it gets sort of sticky. Dan, okay, he has his young kid out there. You sort of have to pick him. Fourth spot,
Dan
picking
is
Lauren.
Trash.
Retweet. Picking Lauren as the fourth spot, I feel like could cause problems, and we saw it had the potential to cause problems if Dean didn't flop this episode, because it really shows your cards, I feel like, as a top four, as a strong alliance. And yeah, sure, Tommy and Lauren were under the assumption that the other four losers back at camp wouldn't be able to band together. Warranted, maybe. We saw them half band together. The plan could have worked, but it ended up not working. And so maybe it's smarter to bring someone like Nora, who is more volatile and more sort of wacky on the whim kind of thing. And she would definitely use it against you, like we did see play out some this episode.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's also really hard when your alliance is larger than four people. Because if your alliance is four people, that's great, because then you get like the people that you're closest to, and you can all be together with the people you love, and yay, happy times. But very rarely does it work out that way. So, like you said, it is very much showing your cards.
Yeah, I think those four that did go on the family visit challenge, whatever reward, they could have solidified a solid thing like we've seen. I think it's smart, definitely. And then they know they can pull in Nora, they can pull in Dean kind of thing. It seems like Tommy has a very good social game that like Dean is willing to tell him this information. And so I think that goes to show how well, I guess Tommy is doing at the social game. It's sort of weird because I feel like every time Tommy talks, he literally mentions that he's a fourth grade teacher every single time. I was like, wait, don't you have anything other things interesting about you? Like,
he has one personality trait, and that is fourth grade teacher.
Yeah, like literally.
That's my main thing about like Tommy as a player. Like, I feel like I know more about literally every other player than I do about Tommy.
Yeah, like when his girlfriend was there, he was like, oh, I feel like one of my fourth grade girls right now. And then at tribal council, he was like, teaching time with Tommy. I was like, don't you have any other characteristics about yourself you can talk about? What else do you do? What do you do in your free time, man?
Yeah, he has to have like a hobby. So
teaching, planning lessons. I don't know. I feel like that's the sort of thing with Tommy. It seems like people on the internet don't necessarily want to see him win because he seems very one-dimensional and very boring on the television. And maybe that's him in real life, or maybe it's not. Like, why is every single confessional of his talking about him being a fourth grade teacher? Like, does he not talk about anything else? Like, I don't know.
It's I feel like supposed to make him more likable, because it's like, oh, look at this like homegrown fourth grade teacher. But no.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I would want to see more of Tommy's gameplay too. Like, sure, it seems like he has a good gameplay, but I feel like we're also reading in between the lines a lot to see what Tommy is doing. Like, okay, we read in between the lines he has a good social game. We are reading in between the lines that like he's making moves and whatever, but like, I don't know. It's weird, like what's happening.
And I feel like a casual fan might not like do all of the reading between the lines that we're doing. It might just be like, oh, Tommy's boring.
So I also had an issue with the family reward when Dan, he calls the other four back at camp the ragtag group of losers. I was like, stop.
Dan is just so unlikable, and it's like,
so
Dan,
annoying.
The only loser in the season is you.
I'm like,
just like, you can tell that he's just like so full of himself, and I hate it. Every second he is on my screen, I hate him more. And I didn't think that was possible, but oh, it's possible.
Even, yeah, during the immunity challenge, he kept on talking, and he was like, Lauren, you can do it. Focus, Lauren. Don't drop the ball, Lauren. I'm like, can you please stop talking? Like, I want to hear Jeff talk, or I want to hear some music playing in the background. And then after Karishma was voted out at Tribal Council, he kept on doing arm pumping, like, whoa, like in the background. I was like, what the heck? And then when Elaine loses that immunity too, he was like, oh yeah. I was like, please stop.
He's like such a sore winner.
Yeah.
And it's like, you should win with grace and lose with grace. And he doesn't manage to do either.
I was like, ragtag group of losers. I was so turned off. Like, dude, you have no right to freaking say that to these like about those
You're
people.
a loser, Dan. You're not winning this game, Dan.
I was just so annoyed. I'm just so triggered. So the foursome back at camp, the ragtag group of losers, as Dan likes to call them. This was sort of funny. Nora's edit here, she like goes off. And also Karishma's wrecking ball comment at the end of the family visit challenge. Sometimes the things she says are so wild. I was like, wow, something came over her that she says such very like vicious things.
She was like out for blood, and I was totally here for it.
Like, we're gonna smash their heads in. Let's bring them a wrecking ball. I was like, what the? This is so wild. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But these foursome, Nora also starts her long speech with, I'm like Karishma, but I'm liked. I was like, girl, if you start your speech like that, I don't know how well this is gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this episode, throughout the episode, I was like, okay, I was starting to like Dean again. You know, maybe he's redeemable. He wants to vote Lauren out, and he's like, the underlings are going to rise up. So after last week's episode, when he said, the GOAT army is assembling, and we all assumed by the preview he meant himself. But no, he meant everyone else on the tribe, not including him. And so I was like, oh, maybe he's finally having some awareness of his spot in camp. But no, that is not what we see happen. So just very disappointed because they didn't think they could trust Nora, and then it's Dean being the snake of the group. But like from exit press, Dean is the one who screwed it up. It seemed like the foursome was going to work. So
I'm done with this season. I want it to be over. Just because I feel like everything they do just frustrates me more and more. Like Elaine finding an idol and immediately playing it, and not a single vote getting nullified by it. Like I can appreciate when an idol is played when it doesn't need to be, if it like nullifies like a vote or 2 votes. But even if it doesn't like change who would be voted out, but it's still like if you play an idol and no votes get discounted, I'm kind of like,
I like, they really baited us this episode, because with this idol find too, I was like, wow, okay, Elaine has an idol. They could do something super cool, like in David versus Goliath. Split the votes, you know, try to get the votes put on some.
I totally didn't hear the last bit of what you said because my
I was like, oh, it cut. No, like
yeah.
With an idol, you can literally have so many backup plans, or like you could do something so cool with it. I was like, wow, it's really turning the tide here. So good for the foursome at camp. Like, this is so cool. But I feel like we can't really fault Elaine for playing the idol at Tribal, similar to Lauren last week playing the idol. Like, Tribal literally blew up. You really don't know where the votes are going. Maybe the vote got switched and maybe they would put it on Elaine. But like, even after Nora says that Elaine has an idol, I feel like you sort of want to get rid of it also, because once everyone else on the tribe knows, they're going to just put votes on you to get you to flush it. So might as well just flush it before everyone else like hates you for having it, kind of thing. But also,
Yeah. The only thing with an idol and playing an idol is that then it gets put back on the island,
mm,
and at least when you have the idol, then no one else is going to have the idol. Like,
that's true. And I feel like also bad because Elaine's name keeps coming up now as a likable person and someone who could win the game. And so now she's a target and maybe the next one on the chopping block because it seems like they want to keep Nora around and things aren't changing. So seems like Elaine is going to have a big target on her back, and it sort of sucks that she doesn't have an idol now.
Yeah, I really like Elaine, but it seems like she's going to be in a little bit of trouble next time, so.
Immunity challenge. Low-key, I wanted to see Lauren lose because I felt like it would have been easier for everyone to vote out Lauren rather than Tommy. Like we saw with the episode, that's totally what played out happening. Lauren is the only person left in the game who has not gotten any votes cast against her right now, so that's pretty cool. But I don't know. I was low-key annoyed when Lauren won because then I felt like the foursome back at camp's plan wasn't going to work. So I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. This whole thing sucks, and also I'm still salty that Dan is getting screen time. I'm not going to let go of that. Just an FYI.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been cool to see Tommy be voted out on Lauren's immunity win, though, because then it's like a double-edged sword. Like, you saved yourself, but then you got your biggest ally voted out by virtue of you winning immunity. It would have been sort of funny, but not what we saw happen. So I feel like Tommy low-key has the game on lock. For some reason, no one wants to vote him out, and everyone wants to save him. Karishma and Elaine didn't vote Tommy out when they voted Missy out, which probably, hindsight 2020, maybe not the good move to keep Tommy around then. And then, I don't know. Who do you think has good chances, Alyssa?
I think really it's just going to be Tommy who has like really good chances. I think Lauren could also do well, but I'm not sure that she's going to make it to the final tribal council. If Janet gets to final tribal, I think she could also do well, but I also really don't see her getting to final tribal. I think Nora could make an argument, but probably not.
I agree. I feel like Lauren, probably the second person who has the best chances of win, but I feel like she could be a final five boot kind of thing. Tommy, in the preview for next week, he realizes that he has to vote out her and like his ally kind of thing. So I guess, we won't see a Dom Wendell duo going to the end kind of thing. And I feel like if you're smart, you're taking Dan and Nora to final three. If you're thinking, you probably won't take Janet to the final three or Elaine because those two have such good stories and they probably win for the social game. For their strategic games, I feel like their strategic games have been sort of intermittent. Like, I feel like we see them sometimes, but then we don't see them sometimes also. So it's sort of like weird what they're doing out there. We don't really know versus I feel like Tommy always gets confessionals about being a fourth grade teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if Tommy does win, I'm going to be disappointed in the editing because, like, he's just kind of a bland winner, and I can't believe that he's never given, like, a single good confessional about something other than being a fourth grade teacher.
Yeah, and I feel like low-key, too, it's weird because in Island of the Idols, we saw Rob and Sandra make the bet about the female being winner, winner being female this season. So then to have Tommy win, it feels like, oh, why would they include that kind of thing? Especially when I feel like this season has had so much social justice talk about like strong females and women empowerment. And then like you have the boring dude who only talks about being a fourth grade teacher. If he is going to win, I feel like we need to see more from him personality-wise. Like, dude, what are your hobbies? Do some other analogy besides being a teacher.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand why they showed Rob and Sandra having that conversation, which became the title of the episode.
Yeah.
if it wasn't foreshadowing something. Like, it just seems really weird that they would do that.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
it
know.
seems like the themes are like going through, but then if it's not even gonna happen, like what was the point of including that? And like you're right, making it the title of the episode seems very weird.
Yeah. So, and
I am
then,
also just very confused as to it is literally 2 episodes from the finale. They have a week left on the island and people still don't even know what the theme is. Like, people are out there who don't even know Boston Rob and Sandra are freaking there. Like, that is scary because they are going to have a twist at the end. There's no reveal yet. I'm getting nervous.
yeah, it's like they didn't do Island of the Idols this week because of the family visit, but then they also didn't do it like 2 weeks ago because of the merge. And it's like, dudes, you're running out of time to do Island of the Idols. And I'm trying to think of like who hasn't gone. I don't think Tommy's gone,
Yeah,
has he?
Tommy, Dean, Dan.
Well,
Yeah.
Dan doesn't deserve to go because he sucks. But like Dean could really use like a Boston Rob talking to.
Yo, yeah. Boston Rob and Sandra. Dean, stop being a snake. Can you think
Dean,
of
stop being an
ahead?
idiot. Like,
You have to not just plan for tonight, but you have to plan for a few moves in the future. Voting Kelly out, maybe you should have given her a heads up. Broski.
yeah. Yeah, it's fine. We're fine. But
At least, in other surprising, fun, great news, the Australian Survivor preview for their next season is so freaking hype. Like, I am excited for that. The US Survivor Season 40 All Stars, like, that can be hype too. I feel like they can take a few notes from Australian Survivor Playbook in their marketing because literally that preview was so hype. And that's a returning player season for Australian Survivor too. So, like, TV next year is going to be great.
yeah, I'm really excited for like the finale when we get to see the preview for season 40 and we get to see all the returning players. Like, that would be dope.
Yeah.
So.
2 more weeks. We just got to last it out, especially, but I think Dan is probably going to be in the final 3. So Dan, Tommy, and then you got someone else in there.
God, I hope not. Anyways, we're really interested to hear what you guys think about this week's episode. How much on a scale of 1 to 10 do you hate Dean? Or do you actually like Dean? Do you think he's playing a good game? What's up with that? Let us know whether or not you think voting out Kershma was the right move. Should they have taken out Nora? Should Dean have been not stupid and they vote out Tommy? Yeah, we'd like to hear your thoughts. Because like we always say, we're only 2 people and we only have 2 brains between the 2 of us. So we're always interested in getting to learn more.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. We are going to be going into finals week soon here at college for Alyssa and I. So we'll be stressed, but at least we have Survivor. But now, hopefully it gets good.
Yep, so we'll see you guys next week.